That's right, folks. This is On the Money with your financial advisor, Ryan Wheelis, founder of Allied Wealth. We are twinsies today. I saw him grab his jacket. I went and grabbed mine. Do you? Are we twins? Are we? No, you are.
The folks on the radio can't see that we're twins.
That's true.
They can't see that we have faces for radio, but
No, that's why we do. That's why we do your YouTube channel and everything.
They can go to On the Money, search on YouTube, go to On the Money Ryan Wheelis or On the Money Spike, and you'll see our YouTube channel pop up.
Yeah.
I think we're approaching 200 videos on the YouTube channel.
Yeah. And we just
really designed for education, no cost to get on there and see what we do and what we're about. Pretty cool stuff.
On today's radio program, I want folks to know, yes, we will talk about the tax proposal. We all just want you to know right out from the start
big.
that
it's beautiful. It's going to be great, big, beautiful bill.
You're doing good.
I've tried.
Have you been practicing? Working on
a little bit. A little bit, yeah.
Doing it at parties, doing it at closings as folks are coming in. That's cool.
Yeah, well, it's interesting though, Spike. There's a lot of stuff in there. Made it through the House, right? It heads to the Senate next. So we'll spend some time chatting about what's in there and what attitudes people should have with what's in there, and more importantly, what attitudes people should not have based on what's in there.
Yes. So stay tuned on the radio, or know that you can call or text us anytime that you want to. We'll set up your portfolio review, 844-944-7555, or even easier, the text us plan. Type in 21000, type in the word plan, hit send. We'll get in touch with you. We'll continue to say that here.
Spike, you know what's interesting on the phone number versus the text plan to 21,000?
The age range of who uses them?
No, but we get the majority of our response from the show from the text plan at 21,000. These are folks that are retirement minded, or thinking about retirement, or pre-retirement, or post-retirement. We get more response on the show from that. It's really interesting to see the shift in technology away from calling a telephone number to texting plan at 21,000.
I can remember the first time, because it really was only, in my opinion, 2 or 3 years ago, that I used a QR code. I think I was traveling somewhere, and it was like a hotel or a trip or a part of it. I'm like, all right, I'll do this thing. And now if I'm shopping somewhere and it doesn't have a QR code, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to find that thing, so I ignore it. So you are correct. The technology. Use QR code in your television show. We're going to start doing it in the videos as well. So you and I, we're going to create a QR code. So same thing. If somebody's just watching a video, they can just open up their phone. That's the thing, though. They're in their phone, so it's sometimes easier to remember that 21000. A lot we're going to talk about, but folks, remember, when it comes to this tax bill, it's not a law yet. So it's still got to go through some iterations, and we'll talk about how. But this is a brand new segment. This might actually take us a couple of segments on the radio show, because it was a big, long story. Retirement horror stories. Is that for people who haven't saved enough? You wanted to set up this whole new idea of things that you've seen that you're trying to help people avoid.
Yeah, Spike, we see it all at Allied Wealth. I get to see, what you did, what you accumulated, how you accumulated it, and kind of where you're going to go, right? And we see a lot of good things happen. We see a lot of bad things happen. And I think if people can learn from the bad things that we've seen happen, they can not have those bad things happen to them, right?
Well said.
And that's the impetus behind our new segment called Retirement Horror Stories.
This one here today, we're going to, you know what? I'm going to need horror story music.
Twilight music or something. Twilight
we're going to need something for it. All right. Well, listening to us, engineering team, we need some horror story music here. Woo! And the case of retiring too soon. Is this a story of coming up short because we're living longer? Or is this not understanding healthcare costs? What are the scary things that are around the corner in this story, Ryan?
Well, there's several things here, Spike, and I'm going to go through this. And Bob was a former airline mechanic and had a knack for fixing things with moving parts. Naturally, being an airline mechanic, and it's kind of funny because I'm a pilot and I don't care how to build the aircraft. I only care how to fly it, right? So I'm grateful for guys like Bob for sure. And then Leonard was a middle school math teacher, had a 30-year career, and they were ready to retire. So in 2019, at sprightly ages of both 60 and 62, they retired. And if you think about it, they kind of retired a little early. Most people try to retire at 65 because you get Medicare coverage at 65, and you don't have health care coverage from your work-sponsored plan when you retire. Some plans do, but about 90% don't, right? So in essence, they retired early. Well, they sold the house. They bought a beach condo. Awesome. And they traded the minivan in for the red convertible. Nice. And they're finally experiencing the freedom that they worked the last 30, 35 years for. And, you can hear the red convertible cruising down the Florida coastline, right? Mm-hmm. Got some Jimmy Buffett playing in the background. Rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah.
And, got a fresh pension check in hand, got access to your 401k, access to your IRAs now. I mean, all this money's accessible to you without penalty and that sort of thing. So, their dream began. And at first, everything was magical. Morning walks in the sand, midday margaritas. If I drink midday margaritas by 3 o'clock, man, I'm sound asleep. That's tough, right?
Well, wait, that's not midday. It sounds like you're doing lunch margaritas then.
Well,
that's the one
midday.
Well, midday to me is like I guess in my brain I was thinking mid-afternoon, right?
Let's keep in mind, Spike, that at 9 p.m. most nights I'm in bed asleep. So midday for me is probably a little earlier than.
But do you think that's going to go away in retirement? Maybe you're going to be a late nighter.
Now, one of the things you can do to live longer, by the way, is to go to bed the same time every night. Let your circadian rhythm kind of maintain itself. Mm-hmm. So I subscribe to that in a big way. So, like golf, Bob was golfing.
Great.
They're playing
condo,
pickleball,
beach,
cruises, grandkids, board cruise, all the fun stuff that folks should be doing in their golden years. And, they had about $1.4 million, just over that, saved, a small pension. Social Security would soon start in. They could take it now if they wanted to, but, Linda could anyway. Bob could because he's 62, but, they're waiting a little bit. And so no debt. They're in good shape, man, really. So all of a sudden, in 2020, cruise number 4 was canceled, literally as they're getting on the ship because COVID was announced, right? And so markets tanked. We all remember the market shot down dramatically. It ultimately finished up for the year. But in the middle of that, Bob's sitting there looking at his portfolio going, man, I've got 30% less money than I thought I had. What do we do now? So, no worries, it'll bounce back. And all of a sudden it did come back, but now we've got this massive spike in inflation to where the same $100 didn't buy the same basket of goods and services it bought prior to COVID. And there's supply chain logistics and all the things that the helicopter money from the government, all that good stuff. And then Bob had knee surgery, which wound up costing him $14,000 out of pocket. All right, because remember, they're 62 and 60. Okay, so there's no Medicare coverage yet.
They're not on Medicare.
That's exactly right. So, they really unknowingly retired into what became a very chaotic environment. No one saw COVID coming and the aftermath of the effects of COVID. And then you had the effects of 2022 because the Fed had to raise rates because inflation was getting out of control. That caused a massive down spike in the stock market, right? A lot of issues there. So you keep going here. And, they also started to realize that they would get bored, right? So less money, some boredom, okay? So what ultimately has happened here is they didn't have a plan, right? They didn't have a plan for how they were going to deal with being the people that were professionals moving out of profession into actually retirement. And what they did is they actually went on a vacation with the way they changed their lifestyle. But I don't know about you, Spike. I can't stay on vacation forever, right? After a while, I kind of want to get back to the normalcy of my life of working and interacting with people. And these folks, they took a vacation, in essence, when they moved to Florida and sold their house and bought a condo and the convertible and all this stuff. But they just got this mindset that they were permanently on vacation with 30% less money and inflation going through the roof. So it's one of those things where you got to have a plan in place. And they weren't working with an advisor. They were doing this on their own. And they really had no plan. They felt like they had enough money, but there was no plan for how they were going to spend their time, what they would be doing, longer term, what would fulfill their inner desires to be socially interactive and connected with society. They did not have a plan for if the market crashed, what would they do? They had to change their lifestyle and go back to work. And they didn't work with a good advisor to develop a plan. And I think that's the big part of this that we're trying to communicate is oftentimes people wait until a major catastrophic event in life occurs before they make a change. And that's human behavior, by the way, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the catastrophic change here was when COVID happened and all the aftermath of that, them realizing that they could not afford to stay retired.
Yeah, let's talk about some solutions for them and some of the things that you implemented and what we could kind of change around for them when we get back. Radio break here, if you don't mind. 844-944-7555, 844-944-7555. For those listening to us on the radio, we'll do your portfolio review. Hey, retiring early, it's okay. Maybe you have saved enough, but you've got to have a plan in place. Maybe even testing out this retirement lifestyle before you totally jump into it. Ryan's going to talk about ways that we can kind of insulate and ensure this retirement, even retiring early, checking all the boxes, on the checklist to make sure that they're taken care of. Sounds like they got hit with some blind spots, things like a COVID that they didn't know were going to happen. More with Ryan Wheelis when we get back on the radio, 844-944-7555, or even better, text us the word plan at 21000, 21000. We'll get you started on your own portfolio x-ray, no cost to you. We'll be right back with Ryan Wheelis right after this.